Welcome to Cost Saver Conversations. I'm Angela, and I ask the practical questions so you can quickly understand what matters. Today, I'm joined by Assad.
Hi, Angela. We are unpacking Carpool Savings Calculator UK, the hidden pitfalls that could cost you more than you save today, and tying it back to the wider cost saver ecosystem, including tools like Carpool Savings Calculator UK Split Fuel so you can turn insights into action quickly.
Just a heads up before we dive in, we are your synthetic hosts. We are great with numbers, but as AI, we can sometimes be confidently wrong. Think of us as the digital versions of your most knowledgeable, slightly caffeinated friends.
Exactly. Treat this chat as a smart estimate only, not as professional financial guidance. Always check important details with official sources or a qualified expert before making any big decisions.
Welcome back, everyone. So, today we're getting into something that, honestly, I think most of us just assume is a total no brainer for saving money: carpooling. I mean, you split the fuel, you have the parking, you have a nice chat on the way in. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, that's exactly what everyone thinks, right? And look, on the surface, it does look like an obvious win. You picture yourself, saving a nice chunk of cash, maybe having a bit of a laugh on the M25 instead of just sitting there losing the will to live.
Exactly.
But there are some pretty significant hidden pitfalls that UK drivers they overlook them, and some of them can actually cost you more than you save.
Okay, so my back of a napkin maths always looks so good though. Like if my daily commute costs a tenner in fuel and I split it with someone, that's 5 quid saved a day. Times 220 working days, that's over 1100 quid a year. Easy money.
Right, that napkin sum. And that's exactly where it starts to sort of unravel, because that calculation, it ignores the messy realities of UK motoring, your insurance for a start, HMRC rules, and then all the hidden vehicle costs that can actually turn those supposed savings into losses.
Wait, insurance? I hadn't even. Okay, we're definitely coming back to that one. But let's start with the basics. What kind of costs do these calculators just miss?
So first up, real-world fuel consumption. You know that lovely MPG figure your car manufacturer quotes?
Yeah?
That's a laboratory figure. In real-world UK driving, especially with all our stop-start commuting, you'll typically achieve 15 to 25% less. So a car rated at 50 mpg on paper, it might only do 38 to 42 in practice.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that much of a gap. That's quite a lot.
It is. And then when you add passengers, it drops further. Every extra adult adds roughly 70 to 90 kilos of weight, which reduces efficiency by about 1 to 2% per passenger. On its own, that sounds small, but over a year of daily commuting, it's a noticeable chunk of extra fuel. And then cold winter mornings, short journeys under 5 miles can burn 20 to 30% more fuel than a warm engine run.
Hmm, that's actually quite surprising. So it's not just about the fuel then.
No, not at all. Then you've got wear and tear and depreciation. I mean, HMRC's approved mileage allowance is 45p per mile for the first 10,000 miles, 25p after that. And that figure isn't just pulled out of thin air. It covers fuel, tires, servicing, insurance, depreciation, the lot.
So if you're the one always driving, you're absorbing all of that.
Precisely. If you're only splitting fuel, your they're effectively getting a subsidized ride, while you shoulder the depreciation, the tire wear, everything. And we're talking, 300 to 600 pounds for a set of decent tires that lasts maybe 20,000 to 30,000 miles. Servicing is 150 to 400 pounds a year. MOT and repairs can be 200 to 500 a year if your car's over 3 years old. And depreciation itself, typically 10 to 15% of the car's value per year for the first 5 years.
Goodness. So all those little bits just pile up.
They really do.
And I suppose things like parking and tolls as well?
Oh, absolutely. If your workplace charges for parking, or you're hitting the London congestion charge at $15 a day, or even the Dartford crossing at $2.50 a pop, those should be shared costs. And then don't forget ULEZ in London. That's $12.50 a day if your car isn't compliant. And similar clean air zones are popping up in Birmingham, Bristol, Sheffield, Newcastle. It adds up fast.
Right, okay, so the costs are way more complex than just fuel. But you mentioned insurance earlier and kind of teased it. That sounds like the really big one.
Yeah, this is the pitfall that can turn modest savings into, honestly, a financial disaster. Most standard UK car insurance policies cover what they call social, domestic, and pleasure use, plus commuting to a single place of work. What they often don't cover is carrying passengers for hire or reward.
Hire or reward. So if I'm, what, charging my friend for a lift?
So here's the crucial distinction. If your passenger just contributes a share of the fuel cost only, most insurers consider that acceptable. Doesn't invalidate your policy. But, and this is the big but, if you're making a profit or you're charging a per mile rate that's above your actual costs, that shifts you into commercial territory. And at that point, you could be driving around uninsured without even realizing it.
Wait, really? So a few extra quid could mean I'm totally uninsured if I have an accident?
That's exactly it. The Association of British Insurers has been really clear on this. Genuine cost sharing? Fine. Profit making? You need a completely different policy. And driving uninsured? That's a criminal offense. We're talking an unlimited fine, 6 penalty points, possible disqualification.
That's terrifying, actually, just for trying to make a few extra quid on a carpool.
Yeah, and there's another angle people miss. What happens if your passenger is injured? Third-party liability covers injuries to others, but if your passenger decides to sue you personally, you want to know your policy properly covers passenger injury claims. It's worth checking the passenger indemnity limit. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So what's the practical advice? Just ring your insurer?
Absolutely. Even if you think you're within the cost-sharing rules, ring them before your first carpool journey. Get written confirmation. A 5-minute phone call could save you from a rejected claim after an accident. It's not worth the risk.
Such a vital tip. Okay, and what about tax? Does HMRC actually get involved in carpooling?
So for most casual carpoolers, no, splitting fuel with a mate is not taxable income. But there is a threshold, and the rules aren't as widely known as they should be. If your arrangement generates income that exceeds the actual cost of the journey, that surplus is potentially taxable. HMRC generally accepts that contributions up to the approved mileage rate, that 45p per mile, aren't treated as profit.
So if I'm charging more than 45p a mile, that's when they might.
Yeah, that's when it gets tricky. Cross that line and you may need to declare the income. Now, there's a £1,000 trading allowance, so small casual amounts usually stay under the radar. But if you're running an organized carpool, charging premium rates, or you're using apps that take a cut, you can quickly exceed that. Then you're into self-assessment territory, or, in extreme cases, needing proper licensing and business insurance if it starts to look like a private hire service.
Oh, that's actually reassuring in a way. Like, if you're just genuinely splitting costs with a colleague, you're probably fine.
Exactly. It's really only when you cross into profit making or it becomes sort of a business operation that you need to worry.
Okay, so how do we actually get this right then? If I sit down with one of these carpool calculators, how do I use it properly and not just get some inflated fantasy number?
Good question. So the first thing, calculate your true MPG, not the brochure figure. Fill your tank, reset the trip meter, drive normally for a week, fill up again at the same pump, note the liters. Divide miles by liters times 0.22 and you get your real MPG. And it's often a sobering number. If you thought you did 50 and it's actually 38, that changes the whole calculation.
Sobering. I like that. And then you include all the other costs you mentioned?
Yeah, a realistic calculation needs fuel at the current pump price, parking, workplace fees, tolls, congestion charges, clean air zone fees, and a proportional share of insurance, tires, servicing, and depreciation. You can estimate depreciation at roughly 10p per mile for a mid-range car. If any of those are missing from your calculation, your saving figure is just inflated.
Right. And there was actually, before I forget, what should you do if you're the passenger? Like, what's a fair amount to offer?
Honestly, offer to contribute based on the driver's real running costs, not just fuel. A fair contribution of, say, 20 to 25p per mile still saves you a bunch compared to running your own car, and it makes the arrangement actually sustainable for the driver long term. Otherwise, they start to feel shortchanged and the whole thing just quietly falls apart.
That makes total sense. So, I was looking at some of the numbers you pulled together, and a two-person carpool on a 30-mile round trip, the estimated annual savings on fuel alone was £1,100, but the real annual savings, including everything else, was only 600 to 800.
Yeah.
That's a big drop.
It is. And here's the one that really gets people. If the driver absorbs all the costs, that 1,100-pound estimated saving can drop to just 0 to 200 pounds. It can actually go negative. You end up worse off than if you just driven alone.
Wow, okay, that really hammers it home.
It does. But on the flip side, a three-person carpool on the same 30-mile round trip, real savings of 900 to 1,200 pounds. And if you alternate drivers, a two-person setup comes in at 700 to 900. So it absolutely can work. You just need to go in with clear eyes.
So, beyond the maths, how do you actually make it stick in practice? Because you said most people who quit do it within 6 months.
Yeah, it's about logistics and what I'd call social contracts. Agree the rules early, like have a 5-minute conversation up front about how costs get split, what happens if someone can't travel on a given day, how you handle detours or extra stops. That prevents months of, low-level resentment building up.
Fair enough. Low-level resentment. I can imagine.
We've all been there, right? And the common models are you can do a fixed weekly contribution, which is simple and predictable, per journey split, which is fairer but more admin, alternating drivers, where no money changes hands but you need similar cars and mileage, or use something like Splitwise to handle the maths automatically.
And matching schedules must be important too.
Huge. Carpooling only saves money if you actually do it consistently. If your partner works from home 2 days a week or often needs to leave early, it just erodes the savings. You need someone with genuinely aligned hours and kind of a similar location.
Have you got a real-world example of how all these hidden costs actually play out? Because I think that would really bring it to life.
Yeah, so there's Priya from Reading. She commutes 28 miles each way to a business park in Slough. Her Golf averages 42 mpg in real driving. At 148p a liter, her daily fuel cost was about 870. She started carpooling with a colleague, splitting fuel 50-50, which saved her 4.35 a day, roughly $950 a year.
That sounds pretty decent so far.
It does, but here's the thing. She was putting an extra 14,000 miles a year on her own car because her colleague never drove. And that added roughly 1,400 pounds in accelerated depreciation and servicing costs.
Oh no.
Yeah, so she was actually losing money. Once they switched to alternating driver weeks, her real annual saving landed at around 780 pounds. Still worth doing, but nothing like the 2,000 she'd first estimated.
That's such a good example. It's like the savings are there, but they're just not what you think they are unless you do the proper maths.
Exactly. And one more thing I should mention, common mistakes. People only split fuel, which we've covered. They don't check insurance. They ignore depreciation. They underestimate the time costs. Detours and pickups can add 20 to 30 minutes to your day. They assume savings scale linearly, like adding a fourth passenger saves 4 times as much, but it doesn't because fixed costs don't change. And they forget seasonal variations. Winter fuel consumption is higher, especially on short, cold start journeys.
That's, kind of a lot to keep track of.
It is, but honestly, most of it comes down to just being realistic up front rather than optimistic.
All right, so let's wrap this up. If someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I want to try carpooling, but I want to do it properly, what are the absolute key takeaways?
Okay, so 3 things. First, model your specific situation honestly. Use your real MPG, current fuel prices, and a realistic view of all the running costs, not just the pump price. Include tires, servicing, depreciation, the lot.
Right?
Second, have the awkward conversation with your carpool partner about how to split those costs fairly, whether that's alternating drivers or contributing 20 to 25p per mile or whatever works for you both. Just have the conversation early.
And third?
Third, and this is the critical one, call your insurer. Get written confirmation that your policy covers what you're doing. That 5-minute phone call could be the most valuable call you make all year. Do those 3 things, and carpooling can genuinely knock a few hundred to a couple of £1,000 off your annual motoring bill. Skip them, and you might find the savings never actually show up in your bank account. Or worse, one accident wipes out years of careful budgeting.
Brilliant. So it's save smart, split fair, and call your insurer. Thanks so much, Assad. That was really eye-opening.
Cheers, Angela. Happy carpooling, everyone.
Carefully. Quick side note, this guide connects with other cost-saver blogs, especially UK Road Tax Explainer for Parcel Delivery Hidden Costs Guide and Avoid Hidden Fees when choosing a courier.
Exactly. And reading those together helps you connect the dots across your household budget, not just this one topic in isolation.
And if you want to apply this immediately, jump into tools like Carpool Savings Calculator UK Split Fuel right after this episode.
Primary sources used here include 4 UK commuters carpooling in a car, saving money, and RAC Fuel Watch, so you can verify the data yourself and stay evidence-led.
That wraps this cost-saver conversation with Angela and Assad. If this helped, share it with someone who could put these ideas to work this week.
Your next step is simple. Try Carpool Savings Calculator UK Split Fuel, then read UK Road Tax Explainer for, and use them together to take action today.